3D?
I don't know.
You have the dual lenses here.
We do. I'm shooting in 2D though because
Okay.
this is just talking head time, but that makes it easier to process. Who are you?
I'm Bruce Haven. I co-founded Lynda.com with Linda.
And you're obviously Linda Wyman.
I am.
But,
That's obvious.
but who are you? Anyways.
There's a logo of me. I'm Linda Wyman, yes.
Yeah.
Guilty as charged.
And you've been doing this for a long time because before I started a blog in 2000, you were doing Linda and doing training for all sorts of creative people and
Yes. Guilty as charged.
and I know lots of people who work for you. So doing
Great.
Photoshop classes and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
But you're here to announce news.
Yes, we are.
What are you announcing?
we are announcing that we have just accepted $103 million in a round of funding from Accel and Spectrum Equity
Great.
and Meritech.
Wow.
And it's very big news for us.
Now, what do you need $103 million for? Because I know you're very successful, and you're.
I mean, you raise a really good point. We actually did not need to take on the funding.
Yeah.
We've been pursued for a very long time by a huge number of investors, and we've never really had any reason to take it before because we haven't had a plan.
Yeah.
And we also weren't at a scale where we really knew how to leverage it. And so we had our first $100 million year this year.
Wow.
We've grown to 400 employees. And we've built out a really amazing senior leadership team. And we have the scale and the kind of velocity to really be able to accept some extra money and accelerate our growth in some exciting ways. And the three ways that we have earmarked this investment to be used for are, one, expanding our content and being able to create some new categories and going deeper into some of the categories that we already teach in. And then two, to expand improve our platform, our delivery platform, and three, to expand internationally.
Yeah.
And
Tell people what you do because
sure.
I'm sure there's a few of my audience that doesn't know Lynda.com and doesn't know what you do.
Yeah. Well, Lynda.com is a library of instructional videos that span the topic areas of business, creative skills, technology, and software skills.
Yeah.
And so we teach everything from how to use Word or how to do blogging or how to use social media, how to negotiate, how to take great photographs, how to do video, how to do audio, 3D web design, regular print design. And we've been in business for, like I said, 17 years. I don't know if I did say that, but we've been in business for 17 years. We started the website 17 years ago. And we have an online subscription service that we started 10 years ago. And we've hit well north of 2 million members. We have members, individual memberships that start at $25 a month, and they give kind of all-you-can-eat access to all of our different educational materials. There are about 80,000 videos, most of which we have created ourselves.
That's a lot more than I have created. I've done about 3,000
we have about
now.
250 plus authors who've created those with us. And
they're really good, by the way.
It's
a good way to learn things. So.
Thank you. Yeah, we get, we're a subscription service, so people wouldn't subscribe if they didn't like it. And the fact that we've grown organically up until this point, I think, is testament to the great quality that we produce. And we've also expanded from not only individual memberships into memberships in academia and in industry and in government. So we're used by Harvard, Yale, Princeton, UCLA, USC, Stanford, many businesses like Disney, and
this space is really blowing up.
It's really blowing up because I think online learning, for one thing, there's a lot of different flavors of online learning, and the space itself is really hot because I think technology has transformed so many industries, and it hasn't fully transformed education, but it's certainly ripe to do so. And there are a lot of different angles and different needs. And
Yeah, that's where we saw Khan Academy,
Oh, yeah.
and Chase Jarvis just got a few $1 million of
Yeah,
funding to
yeah,
start
yeah,
Creative
he is.
Live.
They both do great work.
Yeah.
And, you know, I get asked a lot, you know, who are your competitors, and are you worried about all these other people who've gotten funding? And you know, we really think we're in the infancy of this industry, and that there is a lot of room for a lot of different angles on how to, you know, attack the problem. And part of the problem is that we don't all learn the same way. We don't all have the same learning needs. The 20th century notion of a teacher standing up in front of a classroom and giving a one-size-fits-all lecture, it doesn't need to exist anymore.
No.
And yet, so there are a lot of different angles. There are the, you know, the MOOCs, and there's, you know, the video style education like us and like Khan Academy. There are other types of services where you know, you take a course from beginning to end, and I mean, there are all kinds of angles, all kinds of subject matter. Our subject matter that we have focused on is around technology, design, software, and business skills.
Yeah.
And we do a combination of teaching tools and teaching skills and inspiring through documentaries that we created. We've created 30 documentaries.
One reason I wanted to meet you here instead of my studio, where I have Rocky helps me with 2 cameras and stuff, is because this is where I learn. I sit up here with 3 screens and a big screen and Apple TV, and the screens are changing. The bandwidth is changing.
That's right.
The cameras, I mean, we have a little GoPro, you know, camera here.
Yeah.
$300, right?
Yeah.
High def,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
high quality camera, so you can
Absolutely.
deliver new kinds of. I can follow you around and go take a photo walk and go do new kinds of video, right?
Definitely, and I mean, a lot of people are consuming lynda.com on mobile devices today.
Yep.
We have an iPhone app, an iPad app. We're about to release an Android app. We have a mobile site, and you know, I think that that's going to be more ubiquitous than computers, clearly, at some point in time, and that transition is happening right now. And it's always a changing target. And
Yeah.
you know, I've been involved in teaching for far longer than 17 years. I think I started teaching in the late 80s. And to me, it's just different form factors. It's all about teaching. And you know, today it's over the internet to devices. Who's to say where it's going to be in 10 or 20 years? I don't really think any of us can totally know.
Yeah.
But it's clearly
We're going to have our
moving.
I'm going to take lynda.com classes in my self-driving car in about 10 or 15 years, right?
Exactly.
You know?
Who knows? It'll be holograms that we're projecting. I mean, you know, I don't think we need to know what it is, but I think that there's always a need for every person on the planet to be educated, to learn new things, to stay up to date on technology. And we've really targeted everyone. You know, people often ask, who's your demographic? And we have everybody from kids in middle school to grandparents to college students to college teachers to people in industry. And I think because we took this library approach, and we've created over 80,000 videos that are all indexed and searchable, and even have closed captioning and text transcripts associated with them, that you can use a service like ours to go in and get the answer to a single problem, or you can learn something from beginning to end. And we love the library approach because it's cross-disciplinary. And so if, you know, your boss says, I need you to make a PowerPoint presentation, you might need to learn typography, how to take a good photo, how to put video in there, how to add audio to it, how to add a soundtrack, how to tell a story. There's so many different skills. And it isn't just, is it Apple, is it Adobe, is it Microsoft, is it, you know, AutoCAD, who is it? I think people have to learn and stay up to date, and there's so many now apps and, you know, just systems that people have to learn that aren't even created by a giant company anymore. So the need to stay up to date, the need to learn these skills is really universal, and it's not just an American problem, it's a human problem. And so, you know, we see that we have grown organically over all these years. We have really built a stellar reputation. We get, you know, so many amazing testimonials from people who are grateful to have the resource that we've created. And we love what we do, and we're so grateful ourselves to be able to, I think when Bruce and I first started the company, we were just so happy to be able to do what we loved and get paid for it. I mean, it was really that simple. And I think because, we started it kind of before even the dot-com boom.
Yep.
We didn't really think about the idea of going to VCs and pitching our idea and getting funding. So we self-funded it, and we also didn't really feel like there was ever an option to not be profitable, because in order to keep the whole thing going, we had to make a profit. So we've literally bootstrapped this from the very beginning, and we've created something truly extraordinary, a whole, group of people now, 400 strong, who are passionate about creating education and really enjoying what we do, and then a whole enormous audience of millions of people who appreciate what we do. And also giving authors the ability to earn money. The people who produce materials on lynda.com get paid really well. A number of them earn 100% of their income from lynda.com.
I know several of them.
So we feel really proud of what we've created, and this investment is just going to give us a lot of new opportunities that we haven't had since we've, always just done everything within our own profits.
You guys started this company 17 years ago?
Yes.
Tell me about starting the company.
You
started it with what, 20 grand?
We started the company with 20 grand, and we just started renting a local high school, and we just said, let's just put an ad on the front page of our website and see if anyone shows up. And sure enough, the class filled up, and we were bringing people in from around the world, not just the U.S., not just California. And partially because Lynda wrote the very first book on web design, and that started attracting people, because the publisher didn't have a website, so they just directed everybody to lynda.com, because we just happened to have a website. So that was a great early...
This was like 94?
Well, the book was published in 96.
96, yeah. I remember it was mid-90s. I didn't know how mid. Wow. And I remember I was at Fawcett Technical Publications back then. I think you were an advertiser in one of our magazines, and several of your speakers spoke. A lot of the famous people spoke at our conferences, and that's how I got started. This was my past life, right? So I remember you from my old life, again, before blogging. That changed my life.
I spoke at a couple of those conferences. There was the web. They used to use whatever year it was, like Web 97, Web 98, Web 99. I think I spoke at a number of those.
Yes.
Conferences.
The old days. Which it's getting to be weird.
Yes,
it's starting to date me. People don't even remember those days of the 90s, right?
Oh, yeah, I don't.
So tell me what's happening internationally now. Back then it was mostly a U.S. business, right? Now it's probably...
Well, I mean, I think just being a web company, you're automatically international.
Yeah.
And it just amazes us how far our reach is, and we have members literally all over the world.
Yeah, I have people come up to me from Nairobi and say, I read you every day. I'm like, that's so weird.
Yeah, and recently in the last couple of years, we've opened a sales office in the UK and also one in Australia.
Yep.
And, we have a lot of clientele, because we have an enterprise version of lynda.com that works where it can be a site-wide license for a whole school or a whole company, or it can be just multiple users, or it can be based on an IP address on a kiosk. So like the New York Public Library just got the kiosk product, where anybody who has a New York City Public Library card can go into any library and get lynda.com on the computer. So we've really experienced a lot of adoption within industry and academia, and even in just all the different government agencies. I mean, even the Office of the President of the United States has lynda.com. It's kind of amazing.
Yep.
And so the thing is like I said, this is a very human problem that technology is changing all the time. Finding credible, practical, effective learning materials is really valuable, and we charge something very reasonable for it, far less than if you were to take a class somewhere or have to go travel somewhere.
Yep.
And so it's
it's
just
expensive
hit this incredible critical mass.
I told Chase the same thing, that these new training companies, these new media companies are really changing. You're really doing a conference, right? Without the networking.
Right.
And so, and networking, Twitter is spinning behind you, right? That's the new networking now. We could get together with a hashtag and talk to everybody who's taking the class, right?
I think that there's a real danger in saying that something is the solution to everything. I think there's some sort of chemical reaction that you get when you're in real life interacting with somebody else, and I don't know that anyone's really quantified the difference between a virtual experience and a human experience, but I still think that human experiences are really important, and I think I think everything has its little purpose and niche, and we're in a niche. We're not 100% to solving all the problems of education, but memorializing fantastic lectures by great teachers and democratizing that information and spreading it is a really smart use of technology.
Yeah.
And it isn't to say that the MOOCs are wrong and that makes us right, or that
No, but something's going on here. In the 90s, we had to go to conferences to learn from people like Jeffrey Zeldman. Now we watch TV on our big screens,
That's right.
and we can get the same quality. In fact, I personally like it a lot better because I have a comfortable seat here, and I can stop a video and go get a drink, and I don't have to deal with people
I totally
and
agree,
distractions.
but I also think that there's something really exciting about being among your peers and being someplace in person, and I don't think it means the demise of conferences, but it's an alternative, and it's definitely a viable alternative and an important alternative. I agree with that.
Yeah. The other thing that you guys are competing with is all these things over here. I mean, it used to be I bought a bunch of O'Reilly books every year, or I bought, books from Peach Pit Press, and I'm buying a lot.
I used to be a writer.
Yeah, I know you did. That's why I brought that
I don't know
up.
if we're really competing against books. I think we're a splinter, kind of like how radio and TV and now, internet and TV and newspaper, there are just splintered different ways to get information.
Yeah.
And it's not to say one's better than the other. People still prefer
No, but
books
I'd much rather learn Windows 8 from you guys, or learn, the next version of Illustrator or something, or a programming language from somebody teaching me on screen, because it's more interactive, and I can see what you're doing in Photoshop, or I can see what you're doing with 3D printing or whatever you're going to be teaching
it's
me,
quicker
right?
to market as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it.
And we're seeing the adoption, we're seeing the change where people are going into video to see things and want to see things in their living room.
Yeah.
And we think that's it's huge. But the quest to learn didn't start with the computer.
No.
It's always been here. It's just, I think the internet and the computer has just become this great enabler for us to work with people directly. And I think that's really exciting.
No, and a lot of things have really changed in price. I mean, the camera I'm using is an expensive, quote, expensive camera, right? That's $3,500. Many people can buy that. These new GoPro cameras are $300, and these GoPro cameras are really good quality. So I can do education here in my house and train, put it up on YouTube, and away we go.
Yes, you can, and so can anybody else.
Yeah.
But I think.
But you have the network of 400 people who you've vetted over 17 years and found the best ones. And
I agree. I mean, I think that there's a real value in having a curated, vetted library of instructional materials. Absolutely. But I also think there's incredible value in having user-generated, crowdsourced, sort of, fantastic YouTube. I mean, we love to go on YouTube and look at what people are doing. It's a crack up. I mean, it's very entertaining, and occasionally
the quality is very variable.
Yes, I mean, the quality is variable. It's the onus is on the person who's going to YouTube to find something of value, and it takes a little bit of extra time and blah blah blah. But it doesn't make it wrong, and it's also just because something is cheap to produce and easy to produce, it doesn't mean that you're a good teacher. It doesn't mean that you have good quality teaching materials. And I think one of the things that lynda.com does is we look at our programming in a very holistic manner, where we're not only just making a one-off course. We're thinking about how courses interrelate and sort of cross-pollinate, and I think we're building a curriculum. We're not just doing a course at a time and sort of an author at a time. And I think there's value in that as well. One of the newest features that we've just added to the website is the ability to do playlists, where you can create lists of courses that you want to take and categorize them by different subject matter or different learning objectives that you might have, and that's an exciting new feature for us. And I think the whole idea of personalized learning and learning that is, you know, if you're really advanced at something and you want to go in and just get the answer to a single problem, you can do it that way. Or if you don't know something, you can learn it from scratch. And we work really hard on our programming to make sure that we're serving as many of our members as we can, and really they have an insatiable thirst, I have to tell you. That's not a problem, that's job security. But
there's always something new to learn.
There's always something new to learn, and it's fun. It's fun to teach.
Even when you think you know it all, there's always something new.
Always.
You know, I mean, you're showing me how to do black and white photography all over again, right?
Yeah.
And I thought I knew how to do that in the 80s when I was using Tri-X and stuff like that.
And sometimes it's not the tool at all. It's how do you tell the story? How do you make a composition? How do you, you know, create emotion around something? How do you negotiate? How do you make something compelling? And we've actually gotten into the soft skills as well as the tools, and that's been really fun. And also inspiring documentaries, which is, we've made 30 of them, and that's been incredibly rewarding and gratifying, and our members just love that kind of material.
Tell me about the documentaries, because I didn't know about that.
Well, we decided that it wasn't enough to just teach tools and skills, that we wanted to also inspire people. You know, why do you care to become a photographer?
Yep.
And how did, you know, someone who's really successful at photography get there? What was their journey like? And it's been universally just
and that's radically
totally embraced.
2 weeks ago, I had Paul Sakuma, who worked for the Associated Press here, and we did a Google Hangout for an hour and a half talking about his career, and now he's changing. He's actually taking online classes to learn what to do next, because the art of being a photojournalist is changing radically, and now he has to learn new skills. He has to learn how to do Facebook and how to do Google Plus, how to get an audience again.
Yep,
you know?
and we're the perfect, you know, photo or just journalist learning bed at lynda.com, because you know, journalists have to know all of these. It's not just knowing how to write anymore, it's knowing how to take pictures and adding video.
I was going to say, we have a documentary on Richard Cochi Hernandez, who's a photojournalist.
Famous one.
He had the move from photographer to multimedia, and he had to kind of shift his whole life and career. And we did a whole documentary on that whole change.
No, that's awesome. Since you guys just went through the funding thing, do you have give me a tip for talk to the other entrepreneurs who might be going through that or going through it?
I can't tell you how to do it. I can just tell you what we did. And you know, we didn't have a burn rate. We didn't know we could, you know, Lynda will say we didn't think of like how we could get money or funding. We just wanted to do what we wanted to do, and Lynda is really just passionate about teaching, and we wanted to teach. So we found a business model that worked. And the business model may have changed over the years, from writing books to running a classroom and classrooms to selling VHS cassettes and DVDs to eventually making this online library. But the constant was teaching and education. And I think it was the internet, and our biggest fumble was we were a little ahead of our time, and we were doing a video before broadband was really there.
Yep.
And that kind of hurt. But
you can be too early in business,
but you can't be too early, and all the pain of going through that and the learning in that was actually very important. And you can't just wait for a good time to show up so you can dive into it. You got to work at it all the time, and when it happens, it happens. But you just got to chase down those passions. So
when you decided to go for funding, I guess funding just sort of happened to you guys. But
in a lot of ways, I mean,
what was that meeting like?
Well,
you know, going into Excel Ventures and.
Oh no, we've been pursued for about the last 7 years, and we've met with some of the very best VCs in the world, and we've really liked a lot of them. I mean, for the longest time, it wasn't about liking them or not liking them. It was just that we didn't have any need. We didn't know what we would do with the money, so we didn't want to give up any control, and we just made that decision that we wanted to grow our own business, and we were, you know, perfectly happy doing so. And you know, so over the years, we've gotten to know many wonderful investors, and you know, so many of them are really smart. They have a lot of passion themselves. They're really enthusiastic about what we're doing. They have great connections. They have great ideas and to bring to us, and a lot of other portfolio partners who could give us interesting input. And we just really never felt ready until recently. I think about a year ago, we started to kind of change the tide and decide like maybe this is the time. And so both Spectrum and Excel, we've known both of them for about the last 4 years,
Yep.
and we just clicked. And for us, it's sort of almost a family-run business, even though we're 400 people. We have to really like all the people that we work with. That's super important to us. And we have very good chemistry. We have very good alignment. We don't have a pressure to have an exit. You know, we were very fortunate because we didn't need to take the money.
Yep.
So we could have, you know, we could really kind of set a lot of the terms that maybe other entrepreneurs who need the money can't set. And so I think, you know, we're really happy with all, you know, the deal all the way around. I think it's built on mutual respect and trust. And, you know, we're excited to have them sit at the table. We have these two new board members, Vic Parker and Andrew Bracchia. And we've already had some board meetings and really enjoyed our interactions with them. And, you know, it's just, it's interesting because Bruce and I took the company without having any professional management, maybe about, I don't know, we brought on our CEO in 2008.
Yep.
And so since he's come on board and really helped us structure things and understood, you know, a lot of things about business, like how to build a sales force, how to set up a finance team, how to, you know, just think about certain aspects of business. Obviously, we were more interested in the creative training side of it.
I'm the same way.
But, you know, it's been so amazing to partner with other people. And part of what you learn is when you're small, you have to do every single thing yourself. So when we started out, you know, from sweeping the floors to cleaning the toilets to doing the training, we did it all. And it's really liberating to have a team of 400 people, 400 fantastic people that you love collaborating with, that, you know, who are smarter than you in a lot of different domains and also respectful of you. I mean, one thing that I'm very proud of is that I think we have earned the respect of our team. And it feels really wonderful to not have to fight for that respect, but to realize that, you know, you have it. It's just, it is yours and you own it. And
every happy entrepreneur talks about culture and hiring great people and hiring people that are happy or good to be around.
Embracing the culture and making sure, I mean, Bruce,
what are your tricks? What are your tricks?
We see that as one of our major jobs today is
how do you
imparting the values. We do a lot of talks.
How do you keep from hiring assholes?
Well, you cannot hire perfectly 100% of the time, but you can make swift changes when you know something isn't working. And, you know, we have been known to do that. I don't know that I would call the people who haven't worked out assholes. It's just not everybody is a cultural fit. Some fantastic people who just aren't right.
Yep.
There's a funny saying that I heard that we kind of use, and it goes like this: A's attract A's, but B's attract C's.
Yep.
And it's because someone junior who's a B doesn't want, they see their way to the top as making sure everybody else is hired below them.
Yep.
So an A is smart enough to say, I'll hire someone at my level or higher. But a B is insecure. So the junior people are insecure. And it's the B people I'm a little wary of. And we don't want the C's. So we strive to only hire A's. And that's hard.
It's really hard. Because I'm a B.
You know, I think sometimes your rock stars come from the most unsuspecting places.
Yeah.
I mean, we have people who started with us when we were in Ojai. We have one woman who's really advanced a lot in the company, and she started when she was 19 years old in shipping. You know, but she's brilliant. She's passionate about what we do, very capable, and so, you know, I think there is a little bit of danger of always looking for the A or the Ivy League person. You know, sometimes you're going to find a really hungry
Tony Hsieh said the same thing.
It comes up a completely different way. But what we do is
do you have classes that talk like this, that get really deep and dirty?
Actually, I think we do. You know, we have some really good classes in just the soft skills of business. I think they are.
It's
really
tough.
good.
It's tough to run a business, right?
It is, and that's another thing that I talk about a lot. It's one thing to have a great idea. Yep. It's another thing to get funding. It is a whole other thing to run a company for 17 years. And, you know, to really execute on the vision and be willing, like, you know, we look at this, we could have exited, believe me, we've had so many offers of people wanting to buy it and this and that.
I think I wanted to buy it at one point. I was going, Linda, she's happening.
But you know what I mean?
We actually bought a competitor of yours, right? We bought Thunder Lizard, right? And so yeah,
that's right, Fawcett,
yeah.
Thunder Lizard. But you know, we started this and we love it, and
Yeah.
we feel really committed to seeing it through, and we think we're the right people to see it through. And I think that is always really sad when you see a founder get kicked out of their company and then the company, you know, really stops
Flounders.
existing because, and I think that's really neat. Well, for one thing, we still have control. We have ownership of the company still. We didn't sell so many shares that we don't have ownership. So we're still the majority shareholder, which is
Congratulations.
a great position to be in.
Yep.
And so we know that they want us attached. I mean, they see value in Bruce and Linda being part of lynda.com. And that's a really wonderful feeling. So, you know, one of the things that was sort of off-putting to us in the beginning when people were talking to us is it really worried us that, you know, well, the ulterior motive is that, you know, they just want an exit and they just want us to, you know, be gone and make millions off of what we've built. And we just really love what
That really
we're doing.
rarely is true, I think, of the top tier VCs.
Yeah, I agree with
they
you.
know they're going to be married to you for 6, 7, 8 years.
And I think, you know, it was a learning curve for us. I mean, obviously, most people fear the unknown.
Yep.
And we have feared this unknown for a very, very long time. And now we're really embracing it. We're super excited about it. We love our partners. We love what we're doing. They love what we're doing.
Excel throws great parties too.
I don't know if they throw parties as great as we do.
Well, you know, have you been to their Davos party? We'll talk.
Today somebody asked, you know, oh, so after you throw the big party, what are you going to do with the money? And I said, oh no, we threw the big party before we got the money. But we've always, you know, we do celebrate we have created a really wonderful culture, and we do a lot of great things for our employees, and we have been known to throw a great party or two ourselves.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we'll stop there. I want to go in and have a drink at the Ritz and shoot some photos down in my favorite photo spot. And thank you so much for coming by. You're a hero of mine, and both of you are since you started the company together.
Yes.
And keep it up.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to seeing what you do.
Okay, thank you.
And by the way, you have a weird URL and a weird spelling of Linda. Tell me the URL.
It's lynda.com, but actually we also have linda.com. So either way you want to spell it, you get there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thanks.